All right. And then, all right, do you have the screen share option on your screen?
Yeah, I got you.
Okay.
It's disabled on your end.
Okay. There we go. I got to add you and panelist. All right, that should have done it. Yes, sir, we got it.
Perfect.
All right. 12 in the room so far. We'll wait another minute here, and then I'll give a quick intro and hand it off, man.
Sounds good.
So how long you been at Memphis?
I just finished my first season.
Ah, very cool. Okay.
Where's the link to this one? Let's see here. All right.
All right. Cool. It is 3:02, so we'll go ahead and roll with this. Greetings, everyone around the world. It is, like I said, 3 o'clock here in the central United States, where both me and Coach Toppert are. But good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you are across the world. Hope you're all staying safe and staying sane, not going too stir crazy quite yet. But thanks for tuning in and just doing what we can to get better for the people that we're in charge of. So it's my pleasure to introduce Cody Toppert. He's an assistant coach at the University of Memphis. And if you don't know about the history of the University of Memphis basketball, it's kind of a monster university program with an incredible history. So we are very, very blessed to have Coach with us today. He did an earlier session that's available on the Embassy and Summit website on player development that I've heard really good feedback on. So I'm looking forward to hearing this one too. So Cody, it's all you, man. Progressive offense and implementation. Guys, if you guys have questions, throw it in the Q&A there, and I'm going to kind of moderate that. We'll probably save most of the questions for the end. So go ahead and throw your questions in there, and we'll save them for the end. So with that, Coach Toppert, man, take it away.
Awesome. Thanks for having me. We'll jump right into it. You know, kind of my background, played college ball at Cornell University. Then I won a G League championship as a player, played in Europe, won a Euro Challenge championship with Göttingen in Germany, played in Spain, Italy, New Zealand, all over the place. So after that, helped guys prepare for the NBA draft, was hired by the Houston Rockets. So when you talk about progressive, that's a progressive organization. Became heavily involved in analytics. I was an assistant coach for their G League team, and then did player development for the Rockets, and then moved on to be the head coach of the Phoenix Suns G League team, where we implemented a ultra progressive offense there, had one of the best offenses in the league. And then from there, went to the Phoenix Suns under Igor Kokoshkov, obviously tremendous coach there, you know, first European-born NBA head coach, and lucky enough to join Coach Hardaway and his staff here at the University of Memphis this past season. So that's kind of my background. We'll jump right into it. I mean, I'm ultra progressive in nature, and really everything that I do in the game of basketball boils down to this goal right here: be stubborn about your goals, but progressive in your methods, right? And that is always have a mindset that is flexible and willing to change, right? The goals don't change, right? Win games, win championships, things of this nature. But our methods have to adopt and adapt, and they have to adapt to the type of player that we're coaching, the type of players that we have, and the general temperature of basketball, right? And today's game is much different than 5 years ago, is much different than 10 years ago, and so on and so forth. So this is really kind of what it boils down to. Who you don't want to be, right? And this is kind of a joke, right? I've asked this question at various other clinics. If I gave any of you on here a VHS tape, could you actually even play it? If you gave me one at my house, I couldn't play the thing. I don't even have, you know, the appropriate things to play a VHS. I mean, what is it called? A DVR, VCR. See, I can't even remember what it's called. And same thing as with a DVD. If you gave me a DVD right now or a CD, I couldn't even put it in this computer I'm on. I do not even have a DVD drive. And if you gave me one like a Blu-ray disc to play at my house, couldn't play it. We do not have anything that requires a disc at our house. So the joke is, right, you don't want to be the last guy using VHS, the last guy using DVD, and then, you don't want to be the last guy relying on mid-range jumpers to win basketball games. So the whole thing is that term, this is how I've always done it, is just a killer to progress. And I think all of us, we can try to be on the cutting edge, right? Now is not the time to buy Amazon stock, right? I know they're killing it during this whole virus thing, but we missed that wave on the way up. And so that's the thing. Think about what's next. Where are things going to trend? During my time in the G League, we were first in the league in three-pointers made per game. We shot almost 40, made almost 15. We were one of the top teams in terms of pace, in terms of offensive rating, and we led the league in call-ups, had 5 guys called up to the NBA. So the question becomes, are you ahead of the curve or behind the curve, right? Look at how much the game of basketball has changed, right, in 20 years, right? 2001, 2002 seasons of 2019-20, the top 200 high-value shot locations in terms of point per shot. There is not one single dot in that intermediate area. Obviously, we know during that time volume has gone down, absolutely, but that's because of recognition on what a high-value shot is versus what a low-value shot is. And so this is huge because, now everybody's coming out here saying we want threes and layups. But it's not just about getting threes or layups. It's really about what is our offensive goal on every single possession, right? And for us, when I was the head coach of the Phoenix Suns G League team, for us here in Memphis and, for us in Phoenix and in general, like this was ours, right? Create one or more open high-value shots per possession and create high-value scoring opportunities early in the clock. And this leads me to, right, the shot spectrum. We've all heard about the whole threes or layups, no mid-range stuff, but really, the order of operations goes free throw attempt being most high value, rim attempt after that, corner three, which actually that holds true at the college level as well as the NBA level, above the break three, paint shots, and then we call non-paint twos, anything inside the three-point line but outside the paint. And it really boils down to this concept here of effective field goal percentage. And basically what that means is if I told you the first 1 to 100 points is going to win and I can only shoot threes and you can only shoot twos, how many makes would it take you to get there? And if you look at it, obviously we know, right? I play this exercise with our players sometimes and we're talking about valuable shots and why they're valuable. And eventually, right, whether it's quick or not, our players will wind up their way. Man, it's going to take me 50 makes, right? And if I shoot threes, it's going to take me, 34 made threes, right? So when you look at that, you can see that I can attempt, really 16 fewer shots than you, and win. And so that's where we arrived at the fact that shooting 50% from two is the same as shooting 33% from three. So in order for a shot to be high value, the way I view it is that we've got to be able to make it 50% or better would be high value. So the question is effective? And I think in most cases it is. What you can see during my time as the head coach of Northern Arizona Suns, we only took 6% of our shots were non-paint twos or long twos, right? We did shoot those, however, at the highest percentage in the league. So we took the fewest, but we made the highest percentage of the ones we take, shooting 44%. Still not 50%, low value. Paint shots, all right, we took 9% of our shots from there. We only shot 34% on those. So we actually shot better in the mid-range than we did in the paint. Floaters are extremely difficult. I've started to err towards teaching paint pulls, but then you can see non-corner threes, corner threes, rim and free throws, right? It flows in terms of, our percentage, our effective field goal percentage on those shots. And in terms of our rate here, right? You can see 11% of our shots came corner threes. You can see 41% of our shots, which my target number is 40% of your shots taken at the rim. And we finished those at 60% rate. So what we started looking at and coined was what we called good play percentage. So what percentage of your scoring possessions came from the high value zones? So what percentage of your scoring possessions came from the rim, the free throw line, or behind the three-point line? And we broke that down, and I love data visualization. And what we had during my time in Northern Arizona was 87% of our possessions, scoring possessions, came from high-value zones, right? And my target mark that I've kind of placed out there is 85%. Have 85% of your offense be executed from high-value zones, from your scoring offense, and I think you give yourself a great chance to win games. You can see in the chart right here in the upper right where our Northern Arizona team is. You can see on the bottom it's the whole simplified good shot percent that we just talked about and offensive efficiency. And there are direct correlations to high offensive efficiency and shot selection. And you can see over here, Houston from 2018 is in that upper right, Houston 2017. You can see the Golden State teams, right? They took a few more mid-range, but also operated at a high offensive efficiency. But you can kind of see how the game is trending. Now, this is the next element behind shot selection, right? Goodhart's law. When a measure becomes a target, it ceases to be a good measure. And that means, you can't just say, okay, now I want to shoot threes. We want to shoot threes and layups. No more mid-range, right? Because a three-point shot in and of itself in a vacuum is not necessarily a good shot. You can't just come out and chase threes. For instance, we're all watching The Last Dance right now. And when you watch The Last Dance, one of the main things that you see is the triangle offense. And the big thing regarding the triangle offense is that offense is a first side, second side, third side offense that creates and generates low value shots. For that time, it was extremely effective, no doubt about it, right? But if you were to take the triangle offense and say, hey, let's shoot threes, let's chase threes, we want to avoid mid-range, the triangle offense is not the offense that's going to generate high-value looks. So your offense generates the high-value scoring opportunities. You don't chase the high-value scoring opportunities within your offense, right? So if you're running a floppy-based offense, right, you got to understand you're coming down off of these down screens. 2003, that won the Detroit Pistons an NBA championship. Igor Koshkov was an assistant on that team. And you're curling Rip Hamilton to the elbow for mid-range. That's a very likely outcome, right? So running that offense to create threes, right, is difficult, much more difficult, because that angle coming out from underneath the basket to behind the three-point line, shoulders getting back squared to the rim and shooting a high percentage, very few guys, are able to do that. And so that offense tends to generate more lower value shots. And then also there's a personnel element, right? So shoot your shot, shoot our shot. Devin Booker shot 53 and 56% respectively on paint pull-ups, going both right and left, right? So he's 53% going right, 56% going left. And what we told him was get into the paint and get on balance and pull up. And so he stopped shooting intermediate jump shots at the 17, 18-foot marker, but he got on balance for paint pulls, and those were high-value shots because he hit them at over 50% rate, right? So now we have an opportunity for discussion. I think, if I'm not mistaken, the only player from 2 years ago that shot over 50% on mid-range shots was actually Kevin Durant, right? Not surprising there. So there's a personnel element to it, and basketball is not an equal opportunity sport. Here's some of our improvement, right? So even before I got there to my season here in terms of our offensive efficiency, and here's just our general improvement in all different offensive categories, right? And what we did is we implemented an offense that was predicated on pace, and we all hear the term pace and space. It's kind of like culture, but what does it mean, right? Well, first, what you look at, this is the NBA scoring efficiency by shot clock. And what I found here being at the college level is this also holds true at the college level. The longer we have the ball, the less likely it is we're going to score is really what it comes down to. And an old college mindset's been first side, second side, third side. The defense is going to break down. But in general, the bottom line is a defense in transition, right, is a defense that's compromised. So we want to attack in transition, and we want to look for these high-value scoring opportunities early in the clock. Here what we have is we have it segmented by fast break, early offense, regular offense, and late offense. And we all know first 5 seconds is fast break. To me, the truly great offenses are the ones that generate high-value scoring opportunities in the next 5 seconds. The next 5 seconds. And that first 10 seconds is huge. Here at the University of Memphis, we operated 28.3% of our offense in the first 10 seconds. We shot 56.3% on shots taken within the first 10 seconds. In the next 10 seconds, we shot 45%. In the last 10 seconds, we shot 32%. And we know it in our mind's eye because we know late clock, teams are going to switch. It tends to turn into isolation basketball. They'll switch late clock pick and rolls. They're going to try to gap you, and they're going to try to bait you into these mid-range. So we know what tends to happen at the end of the clock. But where I think we can all be better at is understanding that we want to run, and we want to run all the time. We are always incentivized to run. We want to run after turnovers, absolutely. We want to run after missed shots, no doubt about it. But these next two are ones where you've got to really script it, practice it, and where I think you can really gain an advantage. We want to run after made shots. We want to get the ball back and play as quick as we can so we can get down and attack them before they get set while they're still celebrating the score. And we want to attack after free throws. Typically a great opportunity, again, where guys tend to trot back, buddy run, not pay attention. But the bottom line is we want to have relentless attack at all times. That's what pace is. Pace is always having an attack mentality. We want to play fast. We want to play with purpose, right? The clock is ticking. It's not our friend. Like we said earlier, we want to generate quick consecutive action that's going to help us create a high-value shot early in the shot clock. And now I'll kind of dial in a little bit more on how to do that. We talk about it, right? Side to side to side to side. Motion offense, to me, can really be determined. I almost equate it to the song that never ends. You start getting offense with no purpose, ball screens with no purpose, guys going under. It no longer becomes about reading the defense and creating the advantage. So there's a danger on side-to-side motion-based offense. But the bottom line is if we look at our chart and we say the shot clock is not our friend, proceed with caution, we want to stay out of that late clock scenario, which means we want to figure out how to trigger an open shot via triggering two to the ball, introducing a third defender, right, or attacking the basket and breaking the paint with some dynamic actions as quickly as we can. Because isolation basketball, the joke down here, it leads to headaches and maybe therapy. And what I joke with our guys is all of our guys, the terminology now with young kids is getting in their bag, right? Like they want to get in their bag and they got all these moves. And, I joke with them is that, isolation offense, our guys have a little fanny pack. Like that's the size of their bag. They don't have a lot of tricks in there. Right. And, we want to help them grow their bag into a duffel. But with that, actually, in order to do that, what we're doing is we're actually simplifying the game for them. And the big way right here, the big one, I think to me that sticks out the most is the rim run. Right. And all across the world and all throughout basketball, it's been rim run. And Mike D'Antoni blew my mind when and I had the opportunity again to learn offense from Chris Finch, elite offensive tactician, now at the New Orleans Pelicans. Learn offense from Matt Brazzi, who's with the Houston Rockets right now. Learn offense from Mike D'Antoni. Learn offense from Igor Kokoshkov. Learn some offense from Jay Triano. These are some of the great offensive minds in the game. And Mike D'Antoni blew my mind when he talked about no rim run. And the interesting elements behind that are, and there's several, and we'll kind of peel back these layers, right? Number one, we want to play fast. So if all of our stuff and all of our action that we want to generate, quick consecutive action, is predicated on having our big ahead of the ball, then how are we going to be able to play fast if that's the case? Because our biggest guy is not our fastest guy. And more often than not, our biggest player on the defensive side of the ball is going to be in the paint, right? He's our rim protector. He's our goalie. And we're going to ask him to get the majority of the defensive rebounds. A high volume of defensive rebounds on any team are going to be collected by their bigger players. And so now what we're going to do is we're going to ask him to grab the ball. We're asking him to pass it to the faster guys. And then we're going to ask him to get ahead of them. And that's just counterintuitive. So for us, the mentality is shifted to when do we rim run? Well, only when we have an advantage, right? Only when we have an advantage. And what does that mean? That means if you're even with your guy or ahead of your guy at the opponent's three-point line, we can consider the rim run, right? And that is only if you feel you can burst into that space and put pressure on that rim. Because rim running to flatten out the defense actually doesn't do what we want it to do. What it really does is it allows them to place X5, their biggest player, closer to the rim because that's where he is running anyways, right? we think that we're going to flatten out the defense and blow that weak side guy off the corner, and he's going to have to hold, and we're going to get the ball to that weak side corner 3. Well, how often does that happen? Very rare. And how often do we actually get to throw over the top for the easy layup? Once every 5 games. So again, we want to teach our bigs to understand the situation where it makes sense, but not to be an absolute rim run. All right? Because what we want to do, again, is open the paint, and we want to attack with some other dynamic elements. The other concept, right, like I mentioned, X5. X5, right, so now here's the thing. If we need our big to come back to action for everything that we do, we're going to ask him to run all the way ahead of the ball, and then we're always demanding separation from his man. So we want our offensive 5 to have separation from X5 coming into his action. Sprint to the ball is going to get separation from your guy. Then why would we have him go attached to his guy to then try to separate? Whereas X5, most likely on transition defense, right, rim ball wall concepts, they're sprinting back to the painted area to evaluate and help alleviate some of the pressure that could be being put on their paint. Which means if our 5-man just runs to get attached, it's going to be harder to detach. So what we'd rather do is have X5, as he runs down into the painted area, we can go right to our action and right unattached. That's on the ball or off the ball action, whether it's a Corver screen that we'll touch on, or whether it's an actual an on-ball drag screen or drag series. And the concept of, we all have gravity on the floor. Our offensive players have gravity. So perhaps too, we can pull X5 away. X5 buddy runs with his man. He settles above the free throw line, and now we can look to attack below that without the rim protector in place. What we also have on here is overlaps work against us. Run wide, run with spacing, random is beautiful, right? We do not have to have a balanced floor to attack and create a scoring opportunity, right? And we also want to have a multiple push guy mentality if we want to play fast. So if we want to play fast, we don't want to do the traditional rebound, pass to the point guard, he's our mandatory push guy. We would rather rebound, bust out 2-3 dribbles, and look for what we call EPAs, early pitch aheads. And also on made baskets, we need to have a multiple inbounder mentality, a nearest guy inbound mentality. All right, 5 in the paint, only time he can be our inbounder off of a made basket by the opponent. 5 out of the paint, right? He should be getting a head start, heading down that direction, help us put pressure, because we don't want to take time to have to run him from the perimeter into the paint, under the basket, retrieve the ball, inbound the ball in order to push. And now it's like, why do we want to pull the goalie? Why do we want to keep our 5 in that 5-out spacing? That's because we want to break the paint with the bounce, the cut with dynamic rolls, and that's huge, right? So if we can throw it ahead and break the paint with a dynamic dive to the rim, we're actually going to put more pressure on the backside of that defense, whether that's X3, X2, X4, whoever it is, the low man. We're going to put more pressure on him, create a longer closeout. Then if we run our 5 to the rim, still break that paint, and now all of a sudden there's crackback situations, and the guys are closer and it's clogging passing opportunities. We also want to break the paint with cuts, right? So we get early pitch aheads, and we pull our 5-man, right? We pull the goalie concept, and X5 settles above the free throw line. There's opportunities for us to cut behind. There's a big difference between spacing and standing, right? And we want active spacers. We want to always be opening passing windows for our guys, for our playmakers. And there's a difference between cutting and clogging. So our terminology is we want to cut in 3 seconds, and we want to clear the 3-point line in 3 seconds. So cut in 3 and clear the 3 in 3. Basically, the general rule of thumb is fewer bodies inside the painted area, inside the 3-point line, right? More space for our guys to attack. So this is our transition spacing. Middle third of the floor right here is going to be for our trigger man. Well, other than that, we fill wide spots, right, to these green arrow areas right here. If we have 3 on a side, right, again, random is beautiful, as long as we can get our trigger man in the middle third and we can look to trigger our action. That is a positionless concept. Positionless meaning it's not position 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's player, 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 trigger man. And the trigger man is most oftentimes the guy who's going to be guarded by the elephant or the slower bad defender. And everybody says, well, trigger what? We want to create the advantage. And then we want to keep the advantage, hold the advantage, attack the advantage, exploit the advantage, and hopefully create a high value shot. So the advantage would mean we want to trigger 2 to the basketball, right? We want to force the defense to introduce a 3rd man into the action, right? Tags and rotations equal closeouts. and then we want quick decisions to ensue, what we call blender basketball. So now what we want to do is we want to be playing off quick decisions, do not catch and hold the ball. We want to maintain the momentum that we created. We created the advantage. We want to maintain that advantage until we can find a shot. We call that a 0.5 mentality. The different triggers. So what are the triggers? The triggers for us are EPAs. I talked about it earlier. Early pitch aheads, right? Now, early pitch aheads can initiate through action, right? Common NBA and international action where the guy passes ahead, he's going to go through to the weak side. It can initiate your pistol action, which is one of your best, one of my favorites. We can also trigger action on the ball. That's through our drags, our double drags, instinctive or called, or just our drags where the 5 instead of running all the way down, right? I'll put it right here. Instead of our 5 running all the way down and come to the screen, we know drag, he's going right to the ball screen if our ball handler's in this area. Then the other thing that we can trigger is we can trigger action away from the ball, right? So triggering action away from the ball would be if the ball is over here on the right side, 5 man's trailing in, hopefully maybe X5 does go all the way to the paint, right? If he stays above the free throw line and we can attack the paint early, that's great. But if he settles in the paint, now, right, we talk about not being attached for on-ball screens. We also can have detachment for off-ball screens or corvers, where we go and set these high, wide slot pins, and we can try to create action that way. And then we can also create action through the trail, which is by passing to the trail man who can then help us get to the second side. Either way, what we're looking at generally, right, if we don't have an advantage, is we're looking at a 5-out scenario where the 5 or trigger man usually occupies this spot here at the top of the key. Now, the Milwaukee Bucks, totally positionless, just fill these spots. And there are times where we will run ahead. But general rule of thumb that I like here is the middle third of the floor is for your trigger man. We do have dunk spots here available, but I'm a big proponent, even if you're non-shooter, clear all the way out to the 3, because on a catch here, we can see some film, we can always go back to a secondary uphill action towards a guard. Are there any questions that are pertinent now before we start looking at some film?
Sorry, Coach, I had to unmute myself. Yeah, a couple here. Coach Josephson asks, are you a fan of in the paint floaters at the high school level? I know you touched on paint poles versus floaters, but especially with the various levels that these guys are coaching.
Yeah, I mean, to me, floaters are very difficult shots, right? Even at the highest levels for the best players. And, so I think you got to practice them to an extent. Our thing is, in order to get guys to buy into shot selection, what we do typically is just devalue a mid-range shot. Some teams devalue paint shots too, right? And that is in anything you do that you're scoring, you say, hey, okay, corner threes are worth 4. Any non-corner 3 is worth 3. Any shot at the rim is worth 2. Any, non-paint or non-rim shot, you could say is worth 1. But for me, if you get to the paint, then we can talk. We don't want to settle for the non-paint 2s. So what we do in most of our stuff is devalue that shot. So our non-paint 2s are worth 1. Our non-paint 2s are worth 1. Our rim shots are worth 2. Our paint shots are worth 2. Corner 3s 4. Above the break, worth 3. I also saw another question in there about zooms. Zooms are our term for pass and chase. So we'll see some zoom film here in a minute, so I can get into that. But another question. What do we got?
What teams best utilize this no rim runner style of transition?
Yeah, I would say so. Boston Celtics on a miss, they run in this scenario no rim run. On a make, they do get their big ahead of the action. The Brooklyn Nets stopped rim running this year, no rim run at all. Always settling their 5 in the trail position. Milwaukee Bucks don't have a rim runner. D'Antoni's non-rim run, but he's also small ball, so that's a little bit different. Miami Heat are, in general, non-rim run, unless advantage. So, there's just a few teams that come to mind as filling in, what we were talking about there in terms of non-rim run.
Okay. Yeah, just looking through here, you're getting a lot of stuff. Are paint threat 3s in your player's arsenal?
Yeah, I tracked paint threat threes. Yeah, of course. Yeah, I mean threes are great. That's why we break the paint. We're breaking the paint to generate rotations and to generate threes. We've got 11% of our shots when I coached in the G League on corner threes, and the reason is because we did not have a rim runner. We looked to break the paint early, so we're breaking the paint right here over in this. Hold on a sec. I'm going to reshare this screen. We're breaking the paint. So we are breaking the paint over on this right side of the floor, putting pressure on the low man and creating this corner three opportunity. Now we're also putting pressure, right? And that's why we kept our 5 up here. Try to pull X5 above the foul line. That's their rim protector. Why have him around there, right? I call it pull the goalie. Why allow them to have their biggest player right exactly where they want him? That's the whole point of Utah having Gobert in there is he's playing goalie. So try to pull their goalie as best you can. Usually easier to get by your guy, break the paint right here, put pressure on the low man, who now is going to be a smaller player, not the 5. And now on this pass to the corner, if we don't have a shot, the next rotation is coming from this guy right here who's guarding the slot guy. And now you've got an potential X out situation, swing for either a quick shot or attack the basket situation.
Kind of going off a few different questions and comments here and combining them into one theme. There seems to be some question about how much this changes based on the level. You know, how much is different from NBA or G League to college, even down to high school. What would be the trend there or expectations?
Yeah, all of the trends from an incentivization to play fast, they hold at the college level. And at the same time, right, the only thing that I've seen that can vary at the college level in terms of the analytics, how these numbers translate, would be post as a play type, that there are a couple of teams that actually do score better in the post, whereas at the NBA level, not one team scores better in the, basically post to score is the lowest value play type at the NBA level for all 30 teams. At the college level, there are a couple of teams that score use the post to score as a play type and can do it more efficient than some of their other stuff. But with that being said, the majority of everything when it comes to just shot value locations, that still holds. Does it hold at the high school level? To be quite honest with you, I believe it does. At the middle level, high school level, it does. High level, high school level for sure. And so, if I was coaching, and I have coached at the high school level, and I would be running this stuff at that level as well.
Okay, cool. One last one here. Does the ball handler become the trigger man when they advance the ball up the middle rather than the sideline?
Yeah, so that's another great question. Middle third of the floor, right, is for our trigger man, who is usually designated as having the elephant guarding him. So typically it's going to be your 5-man, which means that we actually don't want to advance the ball with the bounce in the middle of the floor. And we don't want to change sides of the floor, right? That's a big NBA concept. There are certain places in college, they call this Main Street. They like guys to cross Main Streets to create confusion. I think all you do is you create further imbalance and you actually confuse your own team. So I'm a big fan of, whatever side we get the ball on naturally, organically, let's advance it, keep it on this side. If you advance the ball via a pass, you do not become the trigger man. And we can jump into a little bit of video. This is going to be a very video-heavy presentation the rest of the way. Here we'll look at some of our drags and our drag quicks. This is us at Memphis. So imbalanced floor, 3 on a side, 1 over here. This is our trigger man right here. You can see he's kind of drifting. He drifts inside, evaluates, but then immediately comes right back to action. For us here, we slip out of a drag screen and go to a next screen, which we call a quick. This is not a high value shot, not elite for us, but we make it. I have it on there because that's so for here, we are advancing in the middle third of the floor. That is not ideal. That's for this guy, that's his zone. As soon as he can, this guy should have established the side of the floor. And here he kind of gets stopped before he establishes it. It slows us down, but we get going to a quick secondary action into our quick action. That's a high value shot. Quick sit behind 3, we'll take that. We also don't judge the quality of our offense based upon make or miss. Here we get a pass ahead, pass back, pass to trail, 5-out scenario. You can see college level right here. There's nobody inside the painted area. This is what we want. This is ideal for us. Here we slip out, purposeful interchange. right? So we're not cutting, we're not clogging, we're not setting these little flares where everybody just kind of stands in here. But what we do is we vacate it and there's nobody at the basket. We turn the corner, easy layup. Here we go again, made shot. We get the ball in bounds. It's inbounded by a guard. Throw ahead. Again, not ideal spacing. Our trail man here, he ends up clearing the corner. It's okay, but it's still not wrong if he stays. Not wrong. Random is beautiful. Here we go when we slip out to our quick screen. First window open, pressure on the low man. Backside right here. He sees the backside. He turns, you burn. We're good with that based on personnel, and we get a foul. Here we flow right into it. Again, 5-out scenario. We're going to a quick screen over here. We did clear the corner on that particular one. We want purposeful overlaps, not nonsensical overlaps. Here we go, 5-out again. You can see middle third of the floor open. We switch sides of the floor. In this case right here, we slip out. We turn the corner. Now we put pressure on that low man. This is what I'm talking about, breaking the paint, right? So we pull the goalie right here. We got their biggest defender engaged in this off-ball screen. And the whole time on this possession, if you watch their biggest defender is never in the paint, right? So now he's in pick and roll coverage. Now he's in pin down coverage. And now who we really want to isolate is this guy right here, long closeout. If we don't have this open shot, which this is wide open, next help part should be coming from number 1 down, which means we have swing opportunity. We'll watch one more before we go into the next one. Again, right here, not ideal, but again, we get to our spots. So now look, nobody in the paint. We pulled the goalie, X5 above the foul line. All right, we slip out of this ball screen right here. And now we get corner kick, high value shot.
Like the best.
Now we'll talk about our early pitch aheads and follow. This is a purposeful overlap right here. We call this pistol action, right? In this case right here, you can see the trigger man is still the 5. So that leads to that previous question. So our 5-man's trailing in, he's the trigger man. So now when he sees the throw ahead, he's going to go screen whoever has the ball. Ball's inbounded, throw ahead, gets it back. We're right on the ball screen, right? We got a, no tag situation. Pressure's all on the low man on the weak side. Here we go, deep pick and roll. I love these deep pick and roll, the spaced floor. So right here, we get a mouse for a finish. Here it is after a free throw. Great thing you can see. Like you can see right here, Terrence Jones, former Houston Rocket, like he's just walking backwards. He's backpedaling. He's not down here in the paint. We've already got a purposeful overlap, and we're already on the coverage. Clearly, they're supposed to be icing this pick and roll, which means or pushing it or downing it. He's supposed to be down here. The guy on the ball jumps high side. He's not supposed to do that, right? Basketball is a game of mistakes. We purposeful slot burn. Low man has to rotate. We slot burn, kick out, high value corner 3, created after a free throw. We also love to create these opportunities for slot drives. So here we come off, right? This is our 3 on the side burn. So we're going to cut the third guy. And now what we've done is we've set up and initiated what I call the runway. This is Derek Jones Jr. from the Miami Heat. We've created a mini closeout. And our 0.5 mentality is all predicated on make your decision before you catch. Attack the closeout right there. We get an easy shot. Watch one more on this. And again, there's a whole series on this. Right there, we just create a mini closeout. We don't have anything. We get a cut over there. Mini closeout. That's all we want to do. Again, we don't want to just allow and settle our big guys down in these low dunk spots and now let their biggest defender come over and challenge. This is Shaq Harrison here, who plays for the Bulls. Instead, the rotating defender is 6'3". A little bit different attacking verticality versus 6'3" versus 6'11". Now we'll actually look at this one right here. Same concept right here. 3 on a side. We hit the screen. There's the burn, back of the head. We get the easy shot. Next option right here. I'll just go over a quick one right here so we can see it. Sorry, guys. I lost it. Let me get it back. So the next one down here, let's see here. Always love how that happens. Gotta love it. Stop share. We'll get a reshare in here. Again, I'm going to have to start picking it up because there's a lot to get to, a lot. I want to make sure I get to as much as I can here. So we're going to just end up glossing over a lot of this stuff. So keep action right here is going to be predicated on, you know, when you throw it ahead, everybody has a decision. This could be a whole talk in and of itself, pistol series. So in this case, that guy keeps it. Then we set the screen, we tack. Then Derek Jones Jr. But you can see it right here. Here's the throw ahead, 5-out scenario. Actually, this is Nash action, which is now we throw ahead to a double drag, quick throw ahead, double drag, again, space floor. And you can see their biggest guy, here he is, right? He's in pick and roll coverage. But you can see what we've done is we've cleared out everybody inside that area. And now this is a very difficult tag situation, Nash action. Throw ahead, screen, screen, not ideal to go under, but now quick decision. We get a layup. If you can't get the throw ahead, we'll also set these step up screens. Damian Lillard, one of the best in the league at attacking it, and you can kind of see this is why we trail into that position. This is our 5-man right here, our trigger man. He's coming to trigger the action. But we break the paint early in the clock. This is what we want to do. We break the paint. We fill corner, can even be deeper. And now, all because we pull the goalie, we put pressure on this low man right here. Here's the X out situation that's supposed to ensue. And he tries to X out, but that's a long closeout. And we get a high value shot. The last thing we'll do again is we'll reset back to our guy on the action, and we get to a lot of slips, right? It can be a whole nother one itself. The other thing we can do is we can initiate our action with these just quick, I call them Corver screens. Again, random's beautiful, not ideal spacing, but for us, we create solid scoring opportunity. The shot itself, not ideal. Again, not big on the mid-range, but this right here, right, 25 seconds on the shot clock, we've created an open 3 for a good shooter. It's a good shot. Why go side to side, make 8 more passes to create the same shot? He did make that shot, by the way. Same concept right here. We just go get the guy. 22 on the shot clock. High value 3-point shot. They go under for a guy that can make it.
Off the mark.
Again, right here, our guard, right? This is kind of like an overload situation. Our guard's in the middle third of the floor. Ideally, he would be demonstrative and pick a side. But again, the game is random. This is an art, not a science. So now he gives him the visual. He's also giving him the verbal. We clear out. We get a purposeful clear out of the corner, right? We come to our Corver screen off the ball. They're aggressive at the level. This is what we want. This is the true definition of a trigger. Trigger 2 to the ball. Because now what we're doing is we're going to make them introduce a third guy. But that's why we purposefully clear this corner. 13 is going to vacate the paint and realize too late he's lost that race, and we're going to dunk. Again, these are all high-value shots. These are quick hitters. We'll look at Milwaukee Bucks. Their spacing, again, is totally random. Here you see a off-ball screen wide pin for Brook Lopez. But he knows who he is, so he goes back to action. And now even versus the switch, they're able to get below. Screen below, stay below. You get a great opportunity right there. There's your visual, just like you saw our guys doing. Your visual, go get him. This is DiVincenzo initiating. This is what we call touch action. Should have been an automatic rescreen versus the under. There's another one versus the under. Finally getting it, get a high-value shot and one in the paint. This is a totally positionless game, like for them, for the Milwaukee Bucks. Here's you can initiate with a double Corver, double away, touch action. They set the step up. Look to attack. Watch a couple more of these clips here. Dragan reverses it, these little quick Corver screens, reroutes the guy over. They're aggressive at the level, so this is what the trigger is. Just trigger this scenario. 1, 2 engaged. My dude here, Kobe White, is in trouble. Sure enough, he full body commits and gives up one of the most high value shots in the game. Again, this is all about purposeful offense, right? Like, so we want to create purposeful scoring opportunities. So we talk about triggers. What are our triggers? Again, 2 to the ball, trigger, trigger. Third guy right here now is relied on. George Hill, good three-point shooter. He decides he's going to shoot the gap, stay with Hill. About as high value as it gets. Right here, boom. Commitment. Right here, he's trailing in, deciding is he going to veer back and take out this guy's legs right here of Giannis, and that puts this guy here in the tough spot, right? He's in right now, and he commits all the way in. Now here you go, Chris Middleton fakes the throw out, just drops it easy to Giannis, right? So it puts that low man in a tough spot. Last clip right here. Another touch action, under to a rescreen, 2 to the ball. This is the trigger. Trigger this now, and theoretically I'm saying from the double side, you're probably gonna wanna have this guy be your helper. He comes down, obviously corner's open, they're trying to take away the rim attempt. So now you gotta drop, which means you're gonna open up a cut. You can kind of see why you space 5 out. We'll watch a couple of the Miami Heat because I think these are really interesting. Just like you saw us, not a balanced floor. Corner is empty. That creates a 0 tag situation. So if you create a trigger 2 to the ball opportunity for what I call a blind squirrel or a just a lob or a fade route. So right here, we reroute over, force the trail, Duncan Robinson in. That's your blind squirrel lob, right? 2 to the ball. What did we trigger? That was the trigger. We can see right here, they're loading up from the elbow. Also possible opportunity, but we know because there's no offensive player here, there's no defensive player here, pressure's on this guy, no chance to cover, lob. There's the visual, comes off. What's your trigger? This is what we call a meeting of 3. 3 guys in one area. So now he touches it back, goes off the ball screen. This is a reroute and get out terminology on a screen instead of a hit and hold. He reroutes to get out because 2 to the ball. And now what you've got is the third guy is in here. And that means now we've got closeouts and rotations. Even if your guy in the corner is not a great shooter, this is a great clip right here because on the kick out, it's just a quick decision. He goes right to an uphill DHO. Now we force 2 on the ball a second time. And now that puts my guy right here. If that's Buddy Hield, I can't tell who it is. He's in a bad spot. And so now, boom, Buddy has to come all the way over. He stunts the touch. Open shot for a good shooter. Right? Now, if you have a good shooter, right, you can see that's the thing right here. The random is beautiful. So for these guys here, you might have 2 trigger guys on the floor. Bam's the trigger guy. You can see that he's reading Jimmy's visual. He's about to go to the action over here, but then he sees Kelly's going to the action. So now he drops back. He starts to back up. Kelly flips the angle. 2 guys drop. So the trigger right here was created when 2 guys showed a commitment to this cut, and all it takes is a matter of inches to allow open shot for a good shooter. Here we're going to see our quick decisions ensue. Quick decision, handoff, step up. I mean, this looks like a play, but it's not a play. Obviously, we know that's not the easiest shot to make. Point being is not to stop playing. Got 2 more clips here. Again, consecutive action, create high-value shots quickly. Play breaks down. Kelly's a trigger. There's a trigger. Late closeout for a good shooter. Secondary trigger man. But this is the one I wanted to show. Here's your double high stagger. Great shooter. He's going to go under the first, over the second. He's going to catch. Doesn't have anything. So we didn't create the trigger. We didn't get 2 to the ball. Here's where the trigger is created right now. Fake screen away, handoff. Kelly goes back to a handoff right here, and he's able to fake it. With all the attention, corner is also open. And
New Orleans, thanks to
offense, with all these different variations and varieties, you have the opportunity to run specials. These are ATO specials right here where they're, OKC is going to clear the corner, remove the tag, and create a scoring opportunity. Utah Jazz, same exact look here, clear that corner, open up scoring opportunities. But if you've run this touch action, if you run these Corver screens throughout the game, now your ATOs can become specials. Again, right here, right? So you run it again, slip out of a screen, go to a gate screen, right? So again, these are ATO specials on action that you've run regularly. And now this touch action right here, here's a fake touch. Now you can fake it and drive it, and now they come back to a little snap screen. Right, so there's a lot of different variations, but the key here is that when you hide your ATO specials within your general formations and you don't operate out of too many formations, you have an opportunity to make it very difficult to be scouted. Delay, so we talk about initiating action through the trailer, right? This is through the trailer. Second side, pin down DHO action.
Down 33-30, just
It's all you want. Create those high-value looks quickly in the shot clock. Weak side action, pin down, reroute over the top right here by Clint. Tack, kick out, high-value corner three. Don't have it, don't have the initial push, ball comes back. Great way to get to the second side. You can play delay on the strong side. You can play delay on the weak side as well. So you can play with these strong guys up top. These guys are playing the game up top when the big guys track, right? So you can see right here, big man can catch. He can play to the left. He can play to the right. They're going to hold till the eyes track, eyes engage, eyes activate. And now you can look to turn the corner. There we get a little tag situation, throw back three. Almost every NBA team is running out of these high-value scenarios. We'll watch one right here, a couple more. Right, here we go down. Long curl come out of the corner for the sit behind. This is bypass action. Fake it and go to the next guy. You can also set the up screen out of it right here. Up screen, guys on the high side now. And again, look, if we pulled the goalie, there's nobody in the paint. Nobody in the paint right here. So if we work on making this pass and we can get it there, we're going to have a layup. Same thing, big man's above the foul line right now. Right, so we're bringing this guy away from challenging the shot at the rim. Now he's a swiper instead of a challenger. Right here, boom, screen below, stay below versus the switch. Screen below, cause the issues. Up screen right here, causes confusion, right back into the dribble handoff, sit behind for a shot. So there's a lot of different things you can do. So what if, this is going to be the question, right? What happens when things break down? So we fire to spots and we trigger the blender. And this is where the concept of playground basketball comes in. The playground concept is a Tone D'Antoni concept, kind of, took it to the next level in Northern Arizona. And it's where we're looking for zooms and pick and rolls with a spaced floor, right? So zooms are, I saw that question, what is a zoom? Instead of going into a pick and roll, for us a zoom or a get, as some people call it, is a pass and chase. So don't fight pressure with pressure. And that's why I tell our point guards. Sometimes the best thing you can do is get off the ball to get back on it. So right here, backs it out, doesn't have anything, picks it up, pass and run after it. You alleviate pressure as soon as you get off the ball, allow yourself an opportunity to attack. Jokic is one of the best. Jokic and Murray, they are elite. Right here we go. Instead of just holding it for the pick and roll, pass, alleviates the pressure, under equals rescreen. This is where in college offense or high school offense, a lot of motion offense, you might just, set a bunch of screens, offense with no purpose. Any unders, we automatically rescreen because we want to trigger this 2 to the ball. Now, Jamal's going to shoot this shot, but pop here, possibly open. They're looking for a late veer back switch. And I mean, that's a great shot by a great player. But again, we created the trigger. It served its purpose. We'll also tell our guys to win the race. So this is an under, but right here, Jamal thinks he can win the race. So he does. He wins the race. He gets to the paint, and you can look again. Their biggest defender is above the foul line. So pull the goalie, especially if you have dynamic playmakers at your perimeter positions. Play breaks down. Fire to your spots. And this is beautiful. Fire to your spots when the play breaks down. Now, people will say, hey, this looks great when you got a $100 million player doing it, but how does that look for college kids? Here we run a little of our diagonal action into the ball screen. Pick it up, not ideal. Right here, we play out of it. They go over the top. We roll back in. Great read. Tag man's in. We should attack. Okay, we kind of pick it up again. We get to another zoom. They go over the top the second one. And now, perfect scenario. Great read. Pass goes. Now the pressure's on the low man. Low man rotates. We work on this pass a lot in player development. Again, high side guy. Takes the next guy. Opens up extra pass. And now, look at how long this closeout is. On the catch, right here, this guy's closing out from almost under the basket. And now it's going to be an emergency closeout, and we teach our guys keep a high-value shot, keep a 3-3, sidestep 3. It's a great shot for us. We'll watch a couple more. Here we zoom. Nothing. Now we come back. So the play broke down. This is totally the next action. He decides to keep it. Now we get our corner burn. And again, this is really hard to guard. You're putting guys on islands. Random is hard to guard because random is hard to scout. Random is hard to anticipate. Uphill dribble handoff. Under should equal rescreen. Not great spacing. So this is why we want to pull the goalie. Get the big guy out of here. This spacing right here now, I mean, this makes this a hard play. Now you got crack back. Now we've got a jump pass to the corner, difficult pass. We still get a wide open corner 3. Great shot. But that's not ideal. Here we go. Play breaks down. Fire to our spots. Perfect. Chase after it. Creates confusion. High-value shot. We also tell our guys we want to be hungry but don't beg, right? Spaghetti night is great in my house. My wife her spaghetti is really good, so my dog always comes and sits right by my table begging for scraps. So in DHOs, we want to be hungry but we can't beg. So our guy right here, Lomax, number 2, he comes for the handoff. If the big guy doesn't give it to you, you can't stop. Don't stop and beg for it. Get out of there. He plays with the next guy. Now all we need is a reroute. We reroute over the top. We attack, isolate this nail guy right here, create a closeout, high-value shot. Same thing right here. Boom. Don't beg. We cut. Low man right here rotates. This is good defense. Pass comes, though. We create the extra pass mentality, high-value shot. And that's exactly the way we want our possessions to look. Right? Play breaks down. Fire to our spots. Zoom, chase, nothing, keep, back cut, low man rotate, swing, swing, shot. Beautiful. So now the question becomes that we talked about these concepts, pull the goalie, things of this nature, is how do we teach it? Well, if you want to be a multiple push guy mentality, you got to teach player, trigger man. Teaching calls, they become reads, but look at 3-on-0 versus 5-on-0. And use your player development to reinforce it. So this is just working on pistol action, right, out of 3-on-0. Multiple push guy mentality, work on getting the ball in quick, work on advanced pass. Here's an advanced pass, throw ahead, throw back, flash. Right, everybody gets a shot. You notice how we don't have any defense out there, but you can see right here we've got a line. That is our definition of corner, right there. This is our definition of slot. We want to hold the sideline. We like wide slot. We stay out of these areas, just like on our deal. Get the ball inbounds quick. See, that's the thing. We're working on it. So right here, as the ball goes in, our point guard's here, right? They've got to be in unison right here. They've got to be communicating because we don't want to take the ball out run 2 steps this way while he's running this way. The way you get better at putting the ball back in bounds is just through these things right here, right? They have to work through this. They have to build a chemistry. They have to build a chemistry. Here we go. A little bit of D. Boom. Get it in quick. Snap back, give it to him. Deep pick and roll. This is great action. Really good at the college level. So now, how do we teach, through the trail stuff? So now you come down, same thing, right? So now if you initiate action through the trail, right, we pass to that low man, and now here we are in the delay stuff that we talked about. Again, working on getting the ball in bounds. So I'm talking to him right now. He didn't throw it in bounds. We want to practice getting the ball in bounds. Here we play through the trail, back to the strong side. So 3-on-0, again, can be deadly. Now player development. Philosophy is script it, read it, play it. Make sure we layer it. Always randomize it, right? So that's to create solution-based players. But our goal in player development, and I did the player development talk, so you guys can go check that one out, is to create unconsciously skilled players. And these are the 4 stages of habit building. First, we're unconsciously unskilled. You don't know what you don't know. Then we are consciously unskilled, right? So we know we must improve. Then we are consciously working. We are improving. But ultimately, what we want to do is create unconsciously skilled players where we don't think, we react. Some drill work right here. All right, so you can kind of see how we do it. Philosophy is also bones over cones. This is working on that weak side action at a delay, where now here we are, we're popping a big in this particular scenario. And then boom, next action, drive kick, corner kick, and now boom, relocate again. And now we play one-on-one. Right, 3 guys, 3 decisions, 3 actions, 3 shots. 1 action. Strong side help right here. Second action, random one-on-one, create a high value shot in a 5-second interface. Another example right here. So we call our drag quick. We saw that on film. So what we have here is throw ahead, throw back, right onto the drag. Tight curl, we didn't throw it to him. We played back to our zoom, pass and chase. First window's open, low man's not in. Finish, and now it becomes drive and kick, active spacing on the weak side to open up. And this is helping us learn our play after the play. Here's our Corver screens, right? Everything, a lot of what we do here is with 3 guys. And now we go drive and kick. And now we're working on one-on-one, right? And that wasn't quick enough. Corner one-on-one, coming out of the corner, we need to attack the catch. We need to play fast. First window open, finish. Baseline drive, baseline drift. One-on-one. Short close shot. Create a high value shot. That's the name of the game right here. Here we're going to mess this rep up, but we'll do it again after a couple teaching points. I'll see one more rep on this one before I go to the next one. So if you want your players to be able to make these reads, you got to teach these as calls, right? Like this would be just color touch, and then they become reads. And you tell them, if the defense does this, we do that. If the defense does this, we do that. Read the closeout, good physical drive. And then you build towards what we call simulation. This is totally random. You're letting these guys play. This is basically 3-on-3 against the coaches. Keep score. If they make the wrong read, they don't get points. They make the right read and they make the basket, they get points. So right there, let's just dissect this one. These guys had no idea what we were doing. So Devin Booker had no idea how we were covering this, how we were guarding this whole action when the steal started. This here deal that we were working on split action. So right here, pass goes, Book goes to a reverse split. Switch happens. He dives, clears out. They get a shot. Now he plays to a zoom. Secondary zoom, trail over the top. There's your trigger. So the read is pass to Marquise. He passes to Keese. Now he relocates for a shot. Of course, he puts one right in my face. Right, so here we go again. This is a regular split instead of reverse. Tight curl, miscommunication, good finish by Josh Jackson, secondary action. It's a zoom. They keep it. Not the right read. They won't get points for that. Daniel House, who's now with the Rockets, reads the long closeout, right? Back cut. Good read. Secondary zoom. He wins the race, turns the corner. Now, relocation for a three. It's all random because the game's random. So the bottom line is, right, always be learning, right? Kevin Eastman says it, and I love his quote here, don't be a know-it-all, be a learn-it-all. So always be learning, because development's the name of the game, and try to stay on the cutting edge, innovate. That's how we all win. So I'll take some final questions. I know I went over the time a little bit, and I know there's probably a lot of questions, but I'll answer a few, while I can.
Sure. No, great stuff and really interesting. And just as a novice, thinking from the high school level where we're trying to get participation and you're fighting for players with other sports and stuff, this just seems like a fun way to play. So not only effective, but man, fast and dynamic and yeah.
If you want to keep guys engaged, this is a great offense that's predicated on sharing the basketball. I mean, we had one of the highest assist rates in the G League, and we also I think we had the 18th highest assist rate in college basketball in Power 7 conferences, assisted on almost 58% of our offense. So, yeah, I think that's huge.
Yeah. I'll there's a bunch of questions. We only got time for a couple here, but somebody asked about assessing what success is in stuff like this. And, you and I were talking beforehand, this was just finishing up your first season at Memphis and you didn't even get to finish it with the COVID stuff. So, how do you assess the success of this and, determine what needs to be changed versus what just needs to be developed more as you go?
It's a great question. So, I mean, we're big on analytics. We have a lot of in-house analytics tools that we've built out and use. And so it's all about we're going to self-evaluate, we're going to self-scout, we're going to evaluate our numbers, and we're going to watch the film. And, that's what we've done. And so what we know is when you take away our turnovers in the first 5 seconds of the shot clock, our offensive efficiency rating jumps to top 25 in the country. So now that we know that, we dove into what types of turnovers were happening in the first 5 seconds of the shot clock. Well, a lot of them were home run passes. Well, I mean, some of those were good. Some of those were not calculated decisions. So helping our guys work on the decision-making between when do we throw that pass all the way up the floor versus when do we don't. The other things that we had were mishandles and mishaps on outlet passes. So how can we get better at outlet passing, right? Because we don't want to give it right back to the opponent. And, that's just one example of how we're going to take a number, we're going to break it down and understand it by watching the film. And now we know first 5 seconds of the shot clock, right, outside of when we have fast break, we've got to make sure we take care of the basketball. We want to get a shot. A shot is always better than no shot. So now working with our guys in those situations so that, one, they understand, right, what went wrong, and two, we can help develop them into making better decisions is huge. But we're big on numbers. So we evaluate where our shots are coming from after every game. So then we'll know, hey, did we take too high a volume of mid-range this game? How can we get higher efficiency shots? Because when it comes to attacking coverages, we can either look to prevent the coverage, right, or we can exploit the coverage and punish it. And to me, that's where we'll watch the film of an opponent. They're forcing X amount of mid-range jump shots, typically on the season. And then we'll see, well, why? How are they doing that? Are they dropped back in the pick and roll? And if so, what's our solution going to be for what their coverage is, right? So how are we going to either prevent them from baiting us into those shots, or how are we going to punish them for staying back in the pick and roll?
Good stuff. Obviously, one of the counters that's starting to creep up is the switching 1 through 5. When you're attacking a defense that switches 1 through 5, when do you use the Australia, New Zealand type actions?
Yeah, so two things. Number one is I would say, and I'll introduce a new concept right here. I'll say two things on this as I'm looking at this. Number one is if you scouted the team, you should obviously know what their primary coverage is. It would be shocking to me if a team hasn't shown what their backup or secondary coverage is. And so to me, it's huge to understand what that backup is, right? Is their check down? If we're killing their pick and roll, they're going to go to switch. When they go small, do they switch, right? So that way we have that plan in place when that happens. And for me, for teams that we know switch all the time, I'm going to go to Australia, New Zealand as a steady diet. For teams that only switch as kind of like a secondary check down, right? We may take a different approach in terms of talking about it in the timeout and coming out of it with a special to really take advantage of it to see if we can get them back out of the switch. But ultimately, a steady diet of it, is never a wrong way to go. I'm going to introduce first. I'll show a little bit of the New Zealand, and then what I'm going to do here is real quick is I'm going to introduce another concept. So the concept I'm going to introduce here is called Mayday, and I've been on a lot of these things. I've yet to hear of somebody really using this concept. The Mayday concept is right now being utilized by the Charlotte Hornets, and I think it's unbelievable. So concept of Mayday here is switch happens. Here's the switch. So now you've got the mismatch, right? So we all know boomerang. We all know, obviously, like we can just attack this guy. We can pass to Martin here and pass back to try and attack the mini closeout. A lot of teams now, they're trying to take that away. It's becoming less and less effective. So the concept of Mayday is instead of pass back, bring this guy to a slip screen. And now create your confusion, right? They didn't know if it's a secondary switch or not. High value shot. Whether it's made or missed, that was good action. Here we go again. Here's the switch. Mayday. Two to the ball. Forcing this guy here to come out of the corner. Obviously, if this area here was vacated, it might be a quick swing right on the stunt. But again, that's a good recovery by Pascal, but a pretty darn good high-value shot versus switch. Here we go. Here's the screen. Get the switch. Big guy clears out. You really want to bring another guard back into this, someone who's dynamic in nature. Mayday. Now, in this case right here, they do switch, but it's a low switch. This guy takes this guy. It's not aggressive. High-value shot. Here we go, over the top, nothing, back it out. Mayday. And now all of a sudden you got a mini closeout. Back it out. This is a boomerang, don't have it. There's your Mayday, just by running in front right there, two to the ball. Create a high value opportunity to score. They get the swing for a wide open shot, regardless of if they ran up against the shot clock. So that's a Mayday concept that I'm big on. We can look at our Australia stuff here against the switch as well, real quick. And the answer is, for people that don't know, this is a way to isolate.
Words to Jeff Wooten. That's terrible.
So right here in this case, this is a screen your own double screen situation, but we're setting ball screens for our 5. I'm going to take it to versus the switch, right? So this is our attacking the switch concept. So here it is right now. We set a down screen. Now, I don't mind if this isn't a great screen. If it is, that's fine. We interchange. But we're going to bring our most dynamic player to set a ball screen for our 5. And now, right now, here's the switch. Switch is active. Now, the 5-man is going to go back handoff with this guy right here. We are slashing this intermediate guy early. He slashes at the same time as this handoff. And now what we've done is we've isolated their big man versus our most dynamic driver in the slot for a slot drive, and now we attack the catch. Attack the catch. There's a kick out. Here we go again. Ball screen for the 5. You can see on the weak side right here, you can see we're cutting, handoff, and now boom, we created this closeout. All we want, look at their goalie, their X5. He's inside the paint. Daniel House, who's with the Rockets now, our most dynamic attack guy. He's attacking. Don't help off the strong side corner. Alec Peters, one of the best shooters in the world. High-value shot. Doesn't matter if they miss it. It's a great shot for us. We'll take it. Here, what we'll also do here is we'll set a ghost screen out of this scenario. Great corner 3 look. Here we'll set that screen below, stay below concept on it. So we screen below, stay below to open up the lob. Here we'll mess around with whoever we have in this particular spot. And, you know, ideally what ends up happening is, you know, you're creating the stampede opportunity. That's what you want to create, that attack the catch opportunity. Here it is. This is a great one, right? So switch happens. Again, we cut this guy right here. We isolate our best driver. This is Jack Cooley. Jack Cooley is either going to get blown by in a closeout situation versus House, or he's going to foul him, or he's going to hurt him. Right? He gets blown by, so he hurts him. So that's our Australia concept.
Very cool. So yeah, with that, I think this is a good summary question because I imagine there's a lot of guys out there that have taught traditional motion offense. What would your advice be to them? And kind of switching or evolving to this is probably a better word than switch. Is most of the off-ball screening you see in a possession inefficient? You know, does it make more sense to focus on fewer actions to choose from once you're in the play after the play?
Yeah, for play after the play, it's a great question. I mean, and I think that the ideal scenario on play after the play, I'll share my screen and bring this up so we can. The ideal scenario on play after the play, to me, is going to be right here. Okay, I'm going to do it like this right here. Play after the play is trying to flash your big man back to this area and then pass and give these guys just two options. You can either follow your pass, right, and go for the handoff. And if you don't get it, you can either go screen this guy, split this way, or you can cut to the basket and then we can clock up or rotate from the back end and bring this guy up, right? Or you can just pass to that guy and then go traditional split. Same thing if the ball's up top right here and you pass it to him here, you can go split low or follow. Those are the two options I'd give my guys. And then, you know, they'll get better out of it. But you run your quick hit action, you don't have it, you fill your fire to your spots, you bring your big back to the action, and you create random triggers.
All right. Well, Coach, that was awesome stuff, man. Even, like I said, a basketball novice like me who just does PA announcing and coaches volleyball actually got a lot out of that, and really, really interesting. So, and I know you had a lot of participation and questions here. For those of you that are asking, the video will be online of this presentation at the Summit website that you registered through. And yeah, Coach, man, we really appreciate it. That was great stuff.
Awesome. Yeah, thank you. Appreciate you guys.
All right. Take care, everybody. Stay safe and keep doing what you do.
Stay safe, everybody. Thanks. Bye-bye.